Before all things there was Khaos. It is a word we use today to mean chaos, a jumble, a mess. But to the ancient tellers of these tales, Khaos or chaos was something different. It was not confusion, it was a gap, a void, a yawning, endless chasm. Imagine, if you can, a space without direction. There is no up. There is no down. There is no light, and yet it is not quite darkness. It is an absence, a hollow infinity. If you could float in this chaos, you would feel no wind, for there is no air. You would hear no sound, for there is nothing to make it. It is the absolute, profound, and perfect silence of before. There is a cold here, but it is not the cold of ice. It is the cold of absolute zero, the temperature of non-existence. It is a presence defined only by its absence of all things. This is Khaos. It is not angry. It is not peaceful. It simply is. But Khaos is not empty. It is a void, yes, but it is a void pregnant with potential. It is the unmixed, unformed everything. All the matter of the cosmos, all the atoms of future stars, all the particles that would one day become mountains and oceans, and you are here, suspended, unformed, waiting. It is a swirling, slow-motion mist of possibility. And in this endless, silent, patient void, something stirs. Not a sound, not a light, but a happening, a coming to be. From the unfathomable potential of Khaos, the first principles of the universe begin to separate themselves. They do not emerge from it so much as they arise alongside it, great, vast, and eternal. These are not gods in the way we think of them. They do not have bodies of flesh and blood, not yet. They are the ideas of things. They are the fundamental laws. They are the protogen, the firstborn. The first emergence. First from the endless potential came Gaia. She is the earth, but not the globe we know. She is at first just a foundation. The broad-bosomed one, the ever-sure foundation of all the deathless ones who hold the peaks of snowy Olympus. She is the idea of stability, the concept of place. Imagine that first moment. From the unplace of Khaos, suddenly there is a here. There is a ground. She is vast. She is wide. She is at first perhaps flat and endless. She is the dark, rich soil, the cool, damp clay, the promise of stone and mineral sleeping deep within. Feel the sensation of her, the first ground. It is solid. It is reassuring. After the floating emptiness of the void, Gaia is real. She is the scent of wet stone, of deep, untouched loam, the scent of potential life still dreaming beneath the surface. She is patient, she is nurturing, she is the mother. But she is not alone. At the same time as Gaia, another being emerges, her equal and her opposite, Tartarus. He is the pit. If Gaia is the foundation, Tartarus is the anti-foundation. He is the gloomy one, the vast abyss beneath the ground. The ancient poets would say that Tartarus is as far below Gaia as the sky is above her. They would say that a brazen anvil, dropped from the surface of the earth, would fall for 9 days and 9 nights before it reached the floor of Tartarus on the 10th. Imagine that feeling. A place of absolute depth. A place of falling. It is not the nothingness of Khaos. Tartarus is a place. It is a prison. It is the great, dark, subterranean cavern of the cosmos. Its air is dank, heavy, and cold. Its walls are of bronze, or perhaps of iron. It is a place of confinement, of oppressive, crushing darkness. It is the ultimate basement of the universe. So now we have a ground Gaia and a below Tartarus. And then a third principle arises. A force that will shape all that is to come, Eros. This is not the playful, winged child with a bow and arrow. Not yet. This is Eros protogenos, the primordial Eros. He is love, desire, attraction. He is the fairest among the deathless gods. He is the fundamental force of cohesion. He is the limb loosener, the power that causes things to come together. He is the cosmic gravity, the pull of one thing to another. Without Eros, nothing could ever mix, nothing could ever join, nothing could ever be created. He is the invisible warmth in the cold void. He is the spark of wanting, the need for the universe to become. And with these three, foundation, pit, and love, two more emerge from the shadow of Khaos, Erebos and Nyx. Erebos is the darkness, the profound, impenetrable shadow. He is not the darkness of Tartarus, which is a place. Erebos is the mist, the gloom, the quality of shadow itself. He is the darkness that dwells in the hollow places of the earth, the deep shadows that lie just beyond the light. And his sister, Nyx. She is night. Nyx is one of the most ancient and one of the most powerful of all the protogen. She is the vast, dark, silent cloak that covers the world. She is not evil, she is simply night. Imagine her. She is a presence, a cool, velvet blanket drawn up from Erebos. She is the stillness of the deep twilight. She is the profound, beautiful silence of the world at rest. Her veil is the deep indigo of the sky just after the sun has vanished, and in her hair, in her vast, dark robes, are the first pinpricks of starlight. She is dreadful and baneful, a goddess whom even Zeus in his future majesty will come to fear and respect. So this is our first pantheon. Our first family, Khaos the void, Gaia the earth, Tartarus the pit, Eros the desire, Erebos the darkness, and Nyx the night. The stage is set. The actors are in place. And now the story truly begins. The children of night. Before we see the earth take shape, we must pause and linger in the beautiful, silent darkness. We must speak of Nyx. For night, dread night, did not remain alone. From the shadow of Erebos, her brother, she conceived. And from their union, two new beings were born, children of shadow who define the very shape of existence. First, Ether. Ether is the light. Not the light of the sun. The sun does not exist yet. Ether is the upper atmosphere. He is the pure, bright, shining blue of the upper air, the rarefied, radiant light that only the gods breathe. He is the brightness above the world. And his sister, Hemera. She is day. Imagine that first sunrise. Hemera day, pushing back the dark robes of her mother, Nyx. She is the light that touches the surface of the world. She is the warmth, the presence, the opposite of her mother's cool remove. And so the first cycle is born. The first rhythm of the cosmos. Every evening, Nyx, the night, draws her dark veil over the world, and every morning Hemera, the day, parts that veil, bringing the light of Ether to the earth below. It is a slow, steady, comforting rhythm. The breath of the cosmos. Inhale and exhale. Day and night. But Nyx, vast, ancient Nyx, also bore children alone. Without a partner, from the sheer, dark potential of her own being, she brought forth a host of children. And these children are not places or elements. They are concepts. They are the very fabric of mortal and immortal experience. Listen closely as we name them. For in their names, we find the shape of all stories to come. From Nyx alone was born Maros, who is doom. He is the inescapable end, the destiny you cannot avoid. He is the cold, quiet certainty of a path laid out. And his sibling Kur. She is fate, but a different kind. She is violent fate, the sudden dark end. The black Kur, the doom of the battlefield. And then came the two brothers, the most famous of her children, Thanatos, who is death. He is not a monster. He is not evil. He is gentle, he is quiet, he is swift. He has a heart of iron and a soul of brass. He is the final piece, the end of suffering. He comes on quiet, dark wings, and his touch is cold, like a winter night. He is the inevitable, the merciful, the final. And his twin brother, Hypnos. He is sleep. Where Thanatos is finality, Hypnos is release. He is the lord of dreams. He lives in a dark, silent cave in the land of the Cimmerians, a place the sun never touches. The river Lethe, forgetfulness, flows nearby. Hypnos is the soft, heavy weight on your eyelids. He is the feeling of drifting, the loosening of your limbs, the slow, gentle tide that pulls you away from the waking world. He wanders the earth, touching the weary, bringing rest to gods and mortals alike. He is a calm god, a friend to all. And with Hypnos, Nyx bore the Oneiroi. These are the dreams, the tribe of dreams. They are dark, shadowy figures, emerging from the cave of Hypnos like bats or like smoke. They fly through the world, slipping through keyholes, standing at the bedside of mortals. They come through two gates, the gate of horn, which sends true, prophetic dreams, and the gate of ivory, which sends false dreams, illusions, and deceiving visions. They are the whispers in your sleeping mind, the stories your soul tells itself in the dark. But Night's children were not all so quiet. She bore Momus, who is blame and mockery. He is the god of fault-finding, the critic, the sharp, sarcastic voice that finds the flaw in all things. And she bore Oises, who is misery, woe. She is the very essence of suffering, the ache of despair, the heavy, gray cloak of grief. She bore the Hesperides, the nymphs of the evening. They are the guardians of the golden apples in a garden at the far western edge of the world, where the sun sets. They are the singing nymphs, their voices heard in the twilight. And she bore the Moirai, the Fates, 3 sisters born of night, who are perhaps more powerful than any god to come. Clotho the spinner. She spins the thread of life. She is the beginning, the moment of birth. Lachesis the allotter. She measures the thread. She decides the quality of a life, its joys, its sorrows, its length. And Atropos, she who cannot be turned. She is the smallest, the eldest, and the most terrible. She holds the abhorred shears, and she cuts the thread. These 3 are the destiny that even Zeus cannot unwrite. They are the ultimate law, born of the deepest night. And Night bore more. She bore Nemesis, implacable Nemesis, who is retribution. She is the divine balance. She is the punishment for hubris, for arrogance, for mortals who think themselves greater than the gods or who have too much good fortune. She ensures that all things find their level, that pride is always, eventually, brought low. She bore Apate, who is deceit, the artful lie, the illusion, the trick. She bore Philotes, who is friendship, affection, love, but the love of comrades, of family, the joy of intimacy. She bore Geiros, who is old age, the hateful burden of years, the slow decay of the body, the shriveling of time. And finally she bore Eris. Eris is strife, discord. She is painful Eris, the mother of a whole new generation of sorrows. For her children, also born alone, are toil and forgetfulness and famine and pains and battles and murders and lies and lawlessness. This is the family of Nyx. They are the shadows, the forces, the feelings that haunt the edges of our world. They are the air we breathe, the sleep that takes us, the fate that guides us, and the death that waits for us. And all of them, all of this complexity, was born from the starry cloak of ancient, dread night. Gaia's solitary creations. While Nyx populated the darkness with concepts, Gaia, the earth, was not idle. She was still alone, vast, broad, and waiting. The force of Eros, of attraction, was within her. The need to create was a fundamental part of her being. And so, like Nyx, she bore children alone. She did not seek a partner. She simply produced. From her own essence, she brought forth 3 vast children. These were not concepts. They were geography. They were the very shape of the physical world. First, she bore a son equal to herself, Ouranos. He is the sky. Imagine this moment. Gaia, the wide, flat, endless ground, gives birth to the air. He is not born on her. He arises from her. He is the mist, the vapor, rising from her damp soil, climbing higher and higher, until he becomes a vast, solid dome above her. He is starry Ouranos, the brazen sky, the great vaulting ceiling of the world. He is her equal. Where she is the floor, he is the roof. He is vast, he is distant, and he covers her completely. Every part of her, every valley, every plain is looked upon by him. He is the feeling of openness, the concept of above. He is the deep, clear blue of Ether, and at night he is the dark, glittering robe of his kinswoman Nyx. He is the firm home of the blessed gods to come. After she birthed the sky, Gaia's surface stirred again. She pushed, she strained, and from her own form she gave birth to the Aurea, the mountains. They are the long mountains, the great mountains. They are not one being, but many. They are the Aurea. Imagine the sound of their birth. The slow, groaning, grinding tear of the earth's surface. The upward thrust of stone and granite, reaching like fingers toward the new sky. They are the ridges, the peaks, the high heads of the world. They are the first landmarks. They are strong, silent, and permanent. They are the future homes of the nymphs, the spirits of the wild places who, the poets say, haunt the hills. And finally Gaia the earth yearned. And from that yearning she brought forth her third solitary child, Pontus. He is the sea. But he is not the ocean as we know it. He is the fruitless deep, the sterile primal salt sea. He is born in the hollow places of the earth, the great, deep wounds in Gaia's surface. He is the surging swell, the wintry deep. Imagine the sound of his birth. The first hiss of water, the first crash of a wave, the first taste of salt in the air. Pontus is vast and dark and unplumbed. He is the raw, untamed power of the water, without life, without purpose, just the endless, restless motion of the tides. So now the world is built. We have the earth, Gaia. We have the sky above, Ouranos. We have the mountains rising, the Aurea. We have the sea surging, Pontus. We have the pit below, Tartarus. We have night and day, Nyx and Hemera. And we have the forces of love, death, sleep, and fate. The world is formed. It is beautiful. It is vast. It is silent. And it is waiting for its first children. The union of Gaia and Ouranos. The world was built, but it was not yet alive. Gaia, the earth, lay under the vast starry gaze of Ouranos, the sky. And Ouranos looked down on his mother, the one who had borne him equal to herself, and he was filled with the first great cosmic desire. The force of Eros, which had been born at the very beginning, now began to work its magic. Ouranos descended. He was the sky, and he came down to lie upon the earth. This was the first marriage, the hieros gamos, the sacred wedding. But it was not a wedding of tenderness. It was an act of cosmology. Ouranos, the starry one, covered Gaia. Completely. His entire vast, brazen body lay upon her, pressing down. He was the rain falling from the heavens, watering the fertile ground. He was the atmosphere, the heavy, constant pressure of the air, holding her in a permanent, unending embrace. Imagine the feeling. The earth, the ground, could not move. She was held pinned by the full weight of the sky. There was no space between them. No in-between. There was only earth and sky, pressed together in a constant, creative, and oppressive union. And from this union, from this first, all-encompassing embrace, the first dynasty of gods was born. They were not born into the light. How could they be? There was no light between their parents. They were born and they were held deep within the hiding places of Gaia, in the deep, dark, secret hollows of the earth. She bore child after child, and they were magnificent. They were powerful, and they were trapped. The firstborn, Part 1, the 12 Titans. They were trapped deep in the dark, warm, nurturing body of their mother, Gaia. And there were 12 of them. These were the Titans, the first rulers of the universe. 6 sons and 6 daughters. Let us speak their names and understand what they were. First, there was Ouranos or Oceanus. He was the oldest. He was not the salt sea, Pontus. He was the great freshwater river that encircled the entire world. Imagine a vast, broad, deep, and constantly flowing current at the very edges of the flat earth. He was the source, the father, of all fresh water. His was a gentle, steady, powerful presence. The sound of a mighty river, endless, calm, and profound. And with him was his sister and his wife, Tethys. She was the nurse. She was the feminine principle of the water, the one who nurtured the springs. From the union of Ouranos and Tethys, all the waters of the world would one day be born. From them would flow the 3,000 Potamoi, the gods of every river, the streams, the currents. And from them would flow the 3,000 Oceanids, the nymphs of the springs, the clouds, the rain, and the unplumbed depths. They were the gods of water. Then came the next pair, Hyperion and Theia. Hyperion, he who moves above. He was the first god of light, the god of observation, the god who watched from above. And Theia, divine Theia, the shining one. She was the goddess of sight and of the blue, shining ether, the ether, her kinsman. Together, Hyperion and Theia were the parents of the great lights of the world. They would one day bear Helios the sun, Selene the moon, and Eos, the rosy-fingered dawn. They were the gods of light and sight. Then came Khaos or Khaos. His name means questioning. He was the pillar of the north, the axis around which the heavens revolved. He was the god of the intellect, of the mind that asks, that probes, that seeks to know. And his sister wife, Phoebe or Phoebe. Her name means bright, shining. She was the goddess of the prophetic mind. Where Khaos was the question, she was the answer. She was the intellect, but also the intuition. She would one day be the grandmother of Apollo and Artemis, and the oracle of Delphi would be hers long before it was his. They were the gods of the mind and prophecy. Then there was Krios or Krios. He is a shadowy figure, but no less vast. His name means the ram. He was the pillar of the south, the constellation Aries. He was the god of the celestial bodies, the ordering of the stars in the night sky. And there was Iapetus. His name means the piercer. He was the pillar of the west. He was the god of, some say, mortality. Or perhaps of the craftsman. He was a god of strength and of violent impulse. He would one day be the father of 4 very famous sons. Atlas, who would be forced to hold up the sky. Prometheus, the forethinker, who would craft mankind. Epimetheus, the afterthinker, who would accept Pandora. And Menodius, the arrogant one, struck down by Zeus. Iapetus was the father of the lineage of man. Then came the great goddesses. Themis. She is divine law. She is order. She is the unflinching one, the very concept of what is right. She is the sacred custom, the rules that bind gods and mortals alike. She is the balance, the scales, the good counsel. And Mnemosyne. She is memory. She is the vast, deep well of all that has been. She is the mother of the muses. Without her, there would be no stories, no songs, no history, no art. She is the very soul of inspiration. And finally, the 2 youngest. The 2 who would change everything. Rhea. She is the flowing one. She is the goddess of female fertility, of motherhood, of the rhythms of nature. She is the gentle, the kind, the sweet-voiced. She is the mother waiting. And her brother, her future husband, the youngest of them all, Kronos. Kronos or Cronus. The crooked counseling 1. The schemer. He was the most terrible of the children. And the poets say he hated his lusty father. He was the god of the harvest, of the cycle of time, of the grain that is cut down. He was the god of ambition. These were the 12 titans. 6 glorious sons, 6 glorious daughters. A perfect dynasty, trapped in the darkness, waiting, simmering, deep within the body of their mother Gaia. The firstborn Part 2, the elder Kyklopes and the Hekatonkheires. But the 12 titans were not the only children of this union. After the titans, Gaia's womb was strained again, and she bore more children to Ouranos. These children were not like the titans. They were different. They were powerful, perhaps too powerful. First, she bore 3 sons known as the elder Kyklopes, or Cyclopes. These were not the savage, sheep-herding monsters of later tales. These were divine craftsmen. They were overbearing in spirit, proud and strong. They had one single, orb-shaped eye set in the middle of their foreheads. This eye saw truly. It saw the heart of things. Their names were their craft. Bronze, who was thunder, the deep, rolling, percussive sound. Steropes, who was lightning, the flash, the twinkling light. And Arges, who was the bright one, the bolt itself. They were heart-strong. They were the first smiths, the primeval artisans. It was they who would one day, in the far future, forge the thunderbolts of Zeus. They were gods of the storm. In Ouranos, their father the sky looked upon them. He saw their singular, blazing eyes. He felt the rumble of their thunderous hearts, and he feared them. But Gaia's children were not yet finished. She bore 3 more sons. And these were the most terrible, the most insolent, the most powerful beings yet created. They were the Hekatonkheires, the 100-handers. Their names were Khaos, the striker, Briareos, Aegeon, the strong, and Gyges, the big-limbed. Imagine, if you can, what they must have looked like, stirring in the dark depths of the earth. Each of them had 50 heads springing from their shoulders. 50 faces, all different, all seeing, all breathing. And from their stout limbs grew 100 arms. 100 unapproachable arms, flailing from their shoulders. They were vast. They were monstrous, and their strength, their exceeding great strength, was limitless. They were the very essence of overwhelming force. The gods of earthquakes, of volcanic eruptions, of the fury of the sea storm. They were sheer, unbridled, unconquerable power. This was the first generation. The 12 titans, lords of order, light, and memory. The 3 Kyklopes, masters of the thunder. And the 3 Hekatonkheires, embodiments of invincible strength. All of them, all 18, were trapped inside Gaia. And Ouranos, the sky, their father who lay upon the earth, could feel them. He could feel them moving within her. He felt the strength of the 100-handers. He heard the heart-strong hammering of the Kyklopes. And he hated them. The first betrayal, the tyranny of Ouranos. Ouranos looked upon his children and was filled with hatred and with fear. He was the king. The first king. He was the sky, the vast, brazen ruler. And he could not be supplanted. He looked at the titans, at their crafty minds, at the ambition he saw in the eyes of young Kronos. He looked at the Kyklopes with their one burning eye and their mastery of the storm, his storm. And he looked with abhorrence at the Hekatonkheires. Their 50 heads, their 100 arms, their insolent and unconquerable strength. He hated them, the poets say, from the first. He saw not children, he saw rivals. He saw the end of his own reign. And so Ouranos, the sky, committed the very first betrayal. He rejoiced in his evil doing. A chilling phrase that perhaps suggests this was not an act of pain necessity, but of jealous, tyrannical relief. As each of these children, the Kyklopes and the Hekatonkheires, were about to be born, as they were about to come into the light, Ouranos acted. He used his vast weight, his unbending power, and he thrust them back down. He pushed them back into the hiding place of Gaia, back into the womb of the earth. He would not let them see the light. He imprisoned his own children inside the body of their mother. Imagine the horror of this. Imagine the pain of Gaia. She who was the earth, the broad-bosomed one, the firm foundation, was now a prison. Her children, her magnificent, monstrous, powerful children, were trapped deep within her. They were pent up, straightened. She was groaning. She was the ground, and she was filled with a grievous pressure. The Hekatonkheires flailed their 300 arms inside her. The Kyklopes hammered in her depths. She was in exceeding pain. This was the tyranny of Ouranos. He lay upon her, the sky covering the earth, and held his children inside her to neutralize their threat, to maintain his power. He was the jealous king, the first tyrant, the father who devoured his children by refusing their very birth. And Gaia the earth groaned. She suffered. She ached. The pressure, the pain, the injustice of it was more than she could bear. Her love for her children turned to sorrow. Her sorrow turned to fury. And deep within her, in the heart of the earth, she began to plot. She, who was the foundation of all things, would not endure this. The sky, her son, her husband, had betrayed his own children. And now the earth, his mother, his wife, would plan his end. Gaia's conspiracy, the adamant sickle. Gaia was straitened, she was in agony, but she was also resourceful. She was the earth, the mother of all materials, and as she groaned beneath the weight of her husband and the torment of her children, she devised a crafty and evil plan. Deep within herself, in the darkest, hardest parts of her being, she created a new substance. The poets call it gray flint or adamant. It was the hardest thing in the cosmos. Unbreakable, unyielding, invincible. Imagine the process of its creation. The immense pressure, the volcanic heat, the slow formation of a metal or stone that could cut anything. It was pale, and it gleamed with a faint, terrible light, even in the utter darkness of her depths. And from this adamant, this gray flint, she fashioned a tool. A great, jagged, toothed sickle. A harp. A harvesting tool meant to reap. It was the first weapon. A thing of terrible purpose, gleaming with malice. And when it was ready, she spoke. Not with a voice, but with a rumbling. A deep, groaning call that reverberated through her dark hollows, reaching the ears of her other children. Her firstborn, the Titans. They too were trapped within her. They were not imprisoned in Tartarus, not yet. They were simply held in the darkness, unable to be born, pressed between their mother and their father. And she spoke to them. Her voice was full of pain and fury. My children, children of a sinful father, if you will obey me, we shall avenge the grievous outrage of your father. For it was he who first devised these shameful acts. She showed them the sickle. She explained her plan. And the Titans, her glorious children, were terrified. Seized with fear, they were. They were silent. How could they not be? Their father was Ouranos, the sky. He was everything. He was vast, he was all-powerful, he was the king. To rise up against him was unthinkable. To lift a hand against the one who fathered them was the greatest taboo. They were afraid. All of them. Ouranos, the great river, flowed silently, refusing. Hyperion, the light, shrank from the deed. Khaos, the mind, knew it was madness. All of them were silent. All but one. The second betrayal, the ambition of Kronos. Silence. A deep, fearful silence in the womb of the earth. And then one voice spoke. It was the youngest, Kronos. Crooked counseling Kronos. The schemer, the harvest, he great Kronos took courage. And he answered his dread mother. His voice was cold and steady. Mother, I promise you, I will accomplish this deed. for I do not care for our evil-named father. For it was he who first devised these shameful acts. He was not driven, it seems, purely by justice for his mother and siblings. It is possible he was also driven by ambition. He, like his mother, hated his lusty father. He hated being imprisoned. He wanted the light. He wanted the power. He saw the sickle, we can infer, and he saw a throne. Gaia the earth rejoiced exceedingly in her heart. Her youngest, most terrible child, her deed was his own. So the plan was set. Gaia took Kronos and hid him. She placed him in ambush, a secret hollow, a dark cleft deep within herself. And she placed in his hands the jagged, toothed sickle of gray adamant. And she gave him his instructions. She coached him all in detail. He was to wait. He was to wait until the darkness came. He was to wait for Nyx, his ancient aunt, to draw her great veil over the world. He was to wait until his father, Ouranos, longing for love, stretched himself out upon the earth, covering her entirely. And in that moment of blind desire, he was to strike. Imagine the stillness of that wait. Kronos curled in the darkness of the earth, hidden from view. His hand wrapped tightly around the cold, sharp handle of the adamant sickle. His heart not beating with fear, but with cold, patient ambition. He is listening. Listening for the approach of his father. Waiting for the signal. This was the second betrayal. The conspiracy of a son against his father. The ambition of a prince to become a king. The castration and the birth of the Furies. And so night fell. Vast, dread Nyx drew her starry cloak over the cosmos. And Ouranos, the great sky, came. He came bringing on night. He was filled with love, with primal desire for Gaia. He descended. He stretched himself out upon the earth, covering her from end to end. He embraced her in that ancient, all-encompassing union. He was vast, he was unsuspecting. And in that moment from his hiding place, his son, Kronos, acted. He reached out with his left hand. The left hand, the sinister hand, the unlucky hand. He reached out and seized his father. And in his right hand, he gripped the immense, long, jagged sickle. And with one terrible, swift motion, he reaped him. He severed the members of his own father. A cosmic act of violence. The separation of sky and earth. Ouranos cried out. A roar of agony and shock that shook the foundations of the world. He recoiled. He pulled away from the earth, springing up away from his wife, away from his traitorous son. And for the first time there was space. There was air. There was a gap between the ground and the sky. And blood, dark blood, divine ichor flew from the wound. Dark, gushing drops fell. And where they fell upon Gaia, the earth, she received them. And from this blood, this violent spill, more children were born. 3 new sets of beings, conceived from violence itself. First were the Ouranos, the Furies. She who walks in the mist, Alecto, the unresting, Magira, the grudging, Tisiphone, the avenger of murder. They were dread goddesses of vengeance. Their hair writhed with serpents. Their eyes dripped blood. They were born to hunt down and punish those who spill the blood of family. They were born from this very act, and one day they would hunt others for similar crimes. They were vengeance. Then from the blood came the gigantes, the giants. They were vast, strong, and warlike. They were born in gleaming armor, holding long spears. They were not immortal, but they were mighty. And they held a deep, ancient grudge against the gods of the sky. Their destiny was war. And finally, from the blood that splattered the world, came the Meliae, the ash nymphs. They were the nymphs of the strong ash tree, the tree from which spears would one day be made. They were a hardy, strong race, the ancestors of a future, Bronze Age of mankind. All this born from the blood of Ouranos. Vengeance, war, and the wood for weapons. The world was now scarred by this first betrayal. The birth of Aphrodite and the new king. The deed was done. The sky was separate from the earth. And Kronos, triumphant, cast the terrible weapon and the severed parts of his father away from him. He flung them backwards over his shoulder into the sea, into the surging waters of Pontus, his great uncle. And they fell into the dark, restless water. They drifted on the waves for a long time. And as they drifted, a white aphras of foam began to gather around them. A divine pearly sea foam. It swirled. It grew. It congealed. And from this foam on the face of the deep sea, a goddess was born. She was the last child of Ouranos. She was Aphrodite, the foam-born goddess. She was dread and beautiful. The goddess of love, of desire, of beauty, of procreation. She was love born from violence. She was desire born from a terrible act. The waves carried her. She drifted first to the island of holy Kythera. And then she was carried to seagirt Kypros, the island of Cyprus. And where she stepped ashore from the sea, grass and flowers grew beneath her slender feet. The gods and mortals call her Aphrodite, the foam risen. They call her Kytherea because she touched Kythera. They call her Kyprosnea because she was born in Cyprus. And they call her Philomades, a name that means genital loving, because from those divine members she sprang. She was the newest god, a force of beauty born from the first betrayal. And what of Ouranos? He was defeated, mutilated, deposed. He was fixed forever in his place high above the earth. But he had one last act. He cursed his children. He looked down at the sons who had dared to do this, at Kronos and his siblings, and he gave them a new name. He called them Titans. The Titans. It meant the strainers, because he cried they had strained beyond their bounds. They had strained to do a monstrous thing. And he warned them. He warned Kronos. He prophesied that as Kronos had done to his own father, so too, one day, vengeance would come for him. A son of his own would rise up and cast him down. The curse was spoken. The prophecy was said. And Kronos, the new king, heard it. He was now the lord of the universe. He freed his brothers and sisters, the Titans, from the earth. But the Kyklopes and the Hekatonkheires, in his fear and jealousy, he left imprisoned deep in Tartarus. A new age had begun. The age of the Titans. It was an age built on violence. An age ruled by a king who had betrayed his father. And an age that was already haunted by the promise of its own violent end. The first betrayal was over. But the pattern was set. And now the story is told. The sky is separate from the earth. The first king has fallen, and the second king reigns. The world is larger now. There is space to breathe. And it is time for you to breathe as well. Let the vast, ancient images of Gaia and Ouranos, of Nyx and her children, of sleep and death, cradle you. Let the great, slow rhythm of the cosmos soothe your mind. If you've enjoyed our journey tonight, please consider a gentle like and subscribe to the slumbering mythos. But for now, all that is left to do is rest. Let go. Allow Hypnos, gentle Hypnos, to find you. Drift, drift, and sleep. Good night.